This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeff Gardner.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another good neighbor on, Max Valle with DogHouse Golf Co. Max, welcome to the show, man. How are you?
Not too bad, Jeff. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely, pal. I'm looking forward to getting into it as I am an avid golfer. I suck at golf. I love to play golf.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to learn more about your business. So let's jump right into it. What is DogHouse Golf Co., man? What do you do?
Well, we do golf, that's for sure. Anything golf equipment related is kind of our specialty. Do a lot of custom fittings, customization, personalization, do just your basic repairs, lie loft, swing weight, regrip. We are partnered with Ben Groom. He's an instructor that we offer lessons as well. Yeah, pretty much anything that's got anything to do with a golf club, we can handle it for you for sure.
And I think you told me before the pre-show you also have simulators, so I can actually come to your place and swing the club, practice a little bit.
Yeah, we have a full TrackMan bay. So if you're looking at improving and you want to kind of do your own practice, we do have practice time available as well. That TrackMan is one of the most in-depth simulator setups, I should say. Mm-hmm. So you can get a lot of different feedback, make some adjustments, make some improvements, and definitely make sure that you're not going out to start the season super cold and trying to figure your swing out on the golf course. So
can I also come to you to buy clubs?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we're in with pretty much all the major manufacturers. There's a couple that we haven't gotten accounts with yet, but I think there's only one or two. So yeah, I should be able to get anything from anybody.
So I can buy clubs from you. I can go in to change the weight or the swing of the club, the grip. I can go into get lessons on a simulator. Not much you guys don't do.
That's it. Yeah. Anything golf club related, anything to do with the equipment or the swing or anything like that, we're here for you, man. We try to be a one-stop shop, so that way you know who's working on your stuff and where everything's at, and kind of can keep track of everything. Because we're always changing, we're always trying to improve, and so we always try and work with our customers that way to get them the best result for sure, man.
Beautiful. And the best result is often what us quote unquote golfers are looking for, as it is a very challenging sport. Although I feel like my challenge is mainly mentally, but certainly if I got the right tools, I'm stacking the deck in my favor. And where are you guys located, Max?
We're south into Barrie, just pretty much Mapleview and Bayview, just on Saunders Road there, right in behind Costco and Rona.
Okay.
Pretty much right across the road from Barrie Trim and Mold. So
beautiful. Okay, so right there. So we love to talk about the why on the show. Like, why do people do things? Why are entrepreneurs doing things? Some people it's just the money. Some people it's through necessity. Some people it's through their own personal experience. But I find human beings fascinated. I mean, it's treated me well as I'm a human being. So the more I can learn about them, the more I learn about myself. And that why question has been integral to my life. Why do I do the things I do? Now I have new information that I can make better decisions on moving forward in my life. So we like to ask the guests on our show, why did you get into this, man? Why DogHouse Golf Co.?
Well, yeah, quite a long story, to be honest with you. I'm just turned 30 last year, and I've been working in golf since I was 13. I did one summer. I worked at Tim Hortons for a couple months, and that was way out of my league. And granted, I was probably a little too young at the time, but yeah, aside from that, started working at the golf course, did turf, did back shop, did pro shop, worked at Golf Town, worked at a little custom shop in Mississauga, went to Georgian, did golf there. So golf's kind of just been the path for me right from the start, right? But the big reason why DogHouse became a reality was I for lack of a better way of saying it, just have an entrepreneurial personality. I have a very specific vision on how I think things should be done and how we want to present a certain product or service to customers. And it was really hard trying to relay that and emulate that to the people I worked for, wherever that may have been. And the opportunity arose for me to be able to do it on my own. And so I jumped at it, man, for sure. So.
I love it. I hear so often when we see, I don't know, 3 to 6 entrepreneurs a day, on our marketing side of things with Best Version Media. And then we see so many guests with the podcast. And sometimes it'll come up. We have a very large team, and from the team, sometimes it'll come up. Sometimes from guests, it'll come up. It'll be like, golf is such a, not golf specifically, I'm just using for an example. It's such a competitive industry. There's already so much out there. How do I fit in there? Or marketing is such a competitive industry, or tech is such a competitive industry. It's already been done.
Right.
Everything's already been done. As long as you have that mentality, yeah, everything has already been done. But there's always another way to provide value. So even in an industry like marketing for us, or like golf for you, it seemed like my main takeaways from what you just said, you saw the flaws or the imperfections in your experience in your golf world, and then you made it your own. You answered these problems by making it your own. Is that kind of the take on it? You were
pretty much, yeah. For the most part. I mean, the one thing I've learned in a very short period of time is everybody has a different way of doing business, and
Sure.
I have a very particular view on how business should be done, and how you treat customers, and what you end up giving them, and the value that you can create for them that way. So that was a big aspect of it. The biggest thing as well was when I worked at Golf Town. It was my very first sales job ever, and so being able to sell a set of golf clubs to somebody that then they went out and played better golf. That was like it for me. I was like, when they would come back in and they say, Max, man, I shot my best round ever. I made my first birdie. I did this, did that. It was just the feeling that that you get when you could help somebody like that. It was a very cool niche for me to find the business side of golf, but then still being able to help people play better, and still enjoy the game as much as they can. Right. So a little bit of combo of both of those for sure.
Beautiful. And you golf, I'm guessing.
I do. Yes. Yeah. It's love-hate game. That's for sure. But it's one of those things that when you work in it, it's definitely makes it a little bit more tough to find that balance of work and play. Right. But it's awesome, man. I definitely could be doing a lot worse. That's for sure.
Yeah. Beautiful. And then DogHouse, where does that come from? What does that mean?
So actually, it was funny. The little shop I worked at in Mississauga, I did mostly building, like custom building and repairs and stuff like that. But there was a few times where I would do fittings for certain people. And when you do a fitting, you would run them through the process, let them know what clubs they were fit into, and then you'd give them a quote of the golf clubs and how much they cost. And being that it was a little bit more of a niche shop, the cost wasn't inexpensive. And so a lot of the guys, they'd look at the quote and they'd say, holy geez, I can't spend that much on my golf clubs. I'll go home and my wife will put me in the doghouse. And so then when the opportunity came for this business to take off, I thought, hey, if everybody's already going to be in the doghouse, then if we call it the doghouse, then you got no excuse. Get your wallet out and get paying, man. There you go. So
it's just beautiful. So it's like, listen, golf is a luxury. It's not a necessity for life, but some of our luxuries in life bring up the quality of our life so much. So it's like, prepare for the doghouse, but let's give you some good stuff. I love it.
Exactly. I was just going to say, the only other aspect too is just a little bit of community. If you already are in that doghouse and you're getting a little bit of grief from your spouse or your partner, whoever, then come to the doghouse. Come hang out. We'll put some golf on, play a simulator round, hang out, and just enjoy the atmosphere, right? So.
I love it, man. Not just a place to come buy some stuff, but a place to be a part of the community, the collective Doghousians.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it, man. We all love to play golf, and if we can all do it together and all help each other play a little bit better golf, then we can always have more fun out there too, right? So that's beautiful. That's it for sure.
I love it. It's such a great story, and I often find myself in some sort of doghouse from my golf. So I was thinking,
well, hey, you got a home here, man. Whenever you want to come by, you're more than welcome.
Beautiful. So myths and misconceptions. We like talking about them on the show because I believe that information is what we need to better direct where we're going in life. If I am provided with higher quality information, knowledge, wisdom, however you want to define it, then now I have the pertinent details to make better decisions, and we are the decisions that we make. So what are people thinking out there about your business that is maybe inaccurate? If they're provided with higher quality information, can make better decisions, hopefully lead to increasing the quality of their life. Any myths or misconceptions about your industry or your business that you can think of?
Yeah, definitely about the industry. I think a lot of people, and to your point, just for lack of there not being good information out there around some of this stuff, that people don't really underestimate the science and the physics and the thought that goes into golf clubs in general, right? Whether that be a repair or whether that be a full new custom set of clubs. There's a lot of uh, particular aspects about putting a club together, making sure that your set feels good from top to bottom. So that all being said, that sometimes when people come in and we end up building a bill for them, they're a little taken back by the price. But once we're able to explain that, look, you know what, everything that we do to the tightest tolerance that we know how to, just to make sure that every club feels the same way, it performs the same way, it reacts the same way. It's nothing that you're going to pick up your 7-iron and take a shot and then pick up an 8-iron and think, geez, these are two totally different clubs, right? So I try to, I guess, give the understanding to people that, you know, it's a very in-depth process, and 1 gram of weight moving it an inch up and down in that club will make it an absolutely huge difference. And so what we try and do is we try and really narrow that stuff down. Not to say that we can't do the basics, but more or less what we try and do is make sure that we're as accurate as possible to take out as many variables as we can, so that all you have to do is go out, make your swing, hit the ball at the target, and hopefully shoot as low as possible.
Beautiful. So you guys are really optimizing somebody's build, somebody's package, whatever they're bringing to you, to kind of optimize their game. Now they got to work on his swing and their mind.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, you know, with golf being such a feel oriented aspect of the game,
Yes.
we definitely try to incorporate that, because there are other companies out there that'll run you through all the different numbers and the data and, you know, weight shift and all of these really cool tools that are very valuable, right? But what we found is that sometimes that takes away from that feel aspect, and so your numbers may look perfect on whatever software that company may be running you through. But if you go out and swing those clubs and they don't feel right, it doesn't matter what that data says, man. Those clubs aren't going to work the way that they're supposed to for you. And so we try and have a full balance, try and still give the tech aspect, the insight and the data, but also make sure that you as the player feel good, feel comfortable, and feel like you can put the ball in the hole in as few strokes as possible, man.
I love that, man. I imagine that's a hard needle to thread. I found in my world, there's so data intensive, especially in this day and age. There's so much information out there. A lot of it is garbage, but there's a lot of good stuff out there. But we can find ourselves drowning in the data. And I really love that you pointed that out. The numbers don't mean it feels right. My swing is built up from, I don't know, tens of thousands of swings. It's not a pro swing. There's probably a bunch of flaws in it. So if you make these numbers that is perfect for the right swing, not my swing, it's not going to feel good. And I have purchased new clubs before and spent a great deal of time in getting them set right. Not for me, but set right. And wow, I played like crap, and I still have them, and they're still the best clubs I have. Yet I went back to my old clubs, just procrastinating on going out there and finding out the information that you guys have. So I'm glad we had this conversation now. You may be seeing me at your doghouse soon, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, whether it's for clubs or whether it's your wife or girlfriend put you in the doghouse, man, you're more than welcome, for sure. Either way.
Beautiful. So Max, outside of business, we love to get to know the person, the character.
Yep.
Life is much more than business, although I look at business as an avenue to increase the quality of our life, not just work, but something of a lifestyle to find out who we can be and what we can give back. I look at it as a great avenue to become a better version of myself. That said, I still love to play my video games. I still love to go to sporting events. I still love to go to concerts, love to just indulge in food. Those are some of my pleasures or fun. What do you get up to outside of the doghouse, man?
Oh, well, outside of the doghouse and outside of golf, the list isn't super long, but there's quite a few things on it. I definitely at the top of the list is fishing. I'm a huge fisherman, former tournament fisherman as well. So yeah, I love the bass, man. Love bass fishing and getting out there. And granted, in the past when I had a little bit more time, I'd go out 12 hours, 14 hours a day, man. Just go out, fish all day, and that's my bread and butter. That's what I love to do. So that's top of the list for sure.
Can you tell me, because I am not a fisherman, I have been out on many, many boats. I love nature, love just being out there. But I've put the rod in the water a handful of times. What is it about fishing that can allow you to be there for 12, 14 hours?
I guess the short answer to that would be the focus. The thing that I've learned in tournament fishing is the focus that you need to have on all of the variables in fishing, right? And so as those variables change, you need to be aware of them in order to target the fish the best and hopefully catch as many big fish as you can, right? So what's nice about that now is I tend to think I'm a pretty focused person, whether that be just whatever's right in front of me or something else that's going on. I tend to gear that focus pretty specifically on certain things. So when I get out and I go fishing, that focus is on nothing but what's in front of me and the water and the conditions. And even though I'm only out there catching the biggest fish I can for myself, it's still it's nice to have that kind of clear mind and no real intrusion on anything, and you can go out and just focus on those fish. And the thing that's cool about fishing is you're fighting against nature in a way, right? So there are some days where you go out and you beat nature, and some days you go out and nature beats you. So it's humbling at the same time as well. So
I think that's a great answer, man. Focus is a huge thing for me. I used to say that time is my most valuable resource, and I think it is, but more importantly is focus. If I'm not doing anything with my time, then what does it matter? So it's really, what am I focusing on? That has now been my top priority for these last several years. I use fitness as a big part to focus the mind. I obviously love what it does to the body too, but it's more to focus the mind, meditation, a few other things to really hone my focus, as if I'm constantly distracted, I'm missing out on life. I've not become aware. So it's almost like, I imagine you have a great deal of fun from fishing, but it's almost like you're training your mind when you're out there.
big time. Yeah, it's a great parallel between the yoga and stuff like that. You're training your mind to just have that persistence of being able to focus on what's in front of you for a longer period of time. And especially when you're in business, anybody that owns their own business knows that it's not an easy gig. And there are days where you need to be focused for a very extended period of time. And the more focus you can have in that time, the more you can get done, the more efficient you'll be, and the quicker you'll achieve your goals, right? So it's they definitely go hand in hand, man, for sure.
Very well said, man. I love that. Maybe I'll start fishing. I'm always looking for
Yeah.
more ways to hone the mind, as it's definitely my biggest obstacle. So the more I can be in sync with it and kind of have that dance with the mind rather than a battle, it's certainly proved fruitful to me. So
Yeah,
maybe I'll get out on that,
100%.
put a line in.
Well, hey, man, one day this summer, little fins and skins, we'll get out or something like that for sure.
Beautiful. I love it, man. So outside of the fun, I told you we like talking about the why. Another big part that we like talking about on the show is really shining a light on it is the hard things that we've been through. I got it tattooed on my arm, my rules for life here, so that I stay focused, especially when I'm in the shit. The emotions come up. I'm become aware of it, and I start making poor decisions. I got all my reminders right there. One of them is to do hard things. Why does it on there? And it's so high up in the list. It's number 4 out of 15. It's because I find that humans don't grow from being in comfort all the time. I would say arguably that nature in general doesn't grow from being in a comfortable, perfect environment all the time. It's through some type of stress or stressor, uncomfortable situation that we grow. You could even look at plants and animals. The strongest out there have typically been have had the most amount of pressure applied to. And I kind of look at human beings as this, that we have this anti-fragility about us. If you keep hitting a piece of glass because it's fragile, it'll eventually break. Whereas humans, to a certain extent, there is a limit to everything, but the more pressure you apply to muscle, the bigger and stronger it'll get. The more pressure you apply to the mind, the stronger it now has the ability to become. So through our hard stuff, through our hardships, it often seems like they suck in the moment. The cost for growth from hardship is upfront pain, long-term gain. For comfort, it's that upfront pleasure, long-term diminishing results, long-term pain. So we really like to shine a spotlight on the hardships on the show. We find that too much out there in the world, especially online, too many things are presented with too much polish, too perfect. There's not enough flaws out there. And when somebody looks at it, they say, I don't resonate with that. My life isn't perfect. I have challenges in my life. So we like to put a spotlight on it. We like to ask the guests, anything comes to mind when you think about hardships or trials and tribulations that certainly sucked in the moment, but when you look back in hindsight, you're like, there's no way I would remove that ingredient from the soup that is me, because I've become a better version of myself, or I've learned these valuable lessons and skills along the way.
Yeah. Well, you know what's the first thing that's funny is I'm starting my own little list here as well. So I'm doing it one by
Yes.
one. We're getting there, but I do have the same thing, man. So it's funny. My first one is don't be mad. That's the first reminder for me because
Huge.
it's yeah. Well, you know what? It's one of those things that I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm old, but I'm definitely older than I was in the past, and
Yep.
it's very easy to let certain things get the best of you, and so I guess there was a situation, my very first job at Golf Town, that we had a new manager, and uh, for lack of a better way of putting it, he definitely had it out for me a little bit for whatever reason. That's left to be unknown, right? But it was something that really kind of shaped things in a way for me that I definitely let my anger get the best of me, and maybe mishandled certain things along the way of how things went. But it was through that then I learned that you can only control the things that are in your control, as simple as that. And whenever a situation happens that you find yourself in, you have the control of how you react to that situation, right? And so it was something that I had the framework of it back in those days working at Golf Town. And then throughout the pandemic, actually, that was a real big time for me as well. There's a lot of stuff that I think we all know happened that was a lot out of our control. But it really tested you on how you react to it and how you can control your emotions around those certain things that are happening, and just try and set yourself up for the best emotional state, both like mentally and physically. It can really wear on you. So I've learned through those few experiences. I mean, granted, the list is long and I could go through a bunch of different instances, but basically, in the few things that have happened throughout my life, you learn on how to control your emotions, control your reactions, and just set yourself up to handle each situation as it presents itself the best way possible, man. So being in business now for myself, there's a lot of stuff that, granted, is in my control, but there's still a lot that is outside of my control.
Oh yeah.
So being able to control how you react to those things and how you manage those things and how you approach those, I view them as opportunities. I think it's an opportunity for me to learn how to then navigate and how to approach things, and how to create business relationships with certain people based on the way that they want to do business. And yeah, that whole control of emotion and control your reaction and control what you do as a person makes a big difference going forward, and a big difference in business as well. So
Oh yeah.
hopefully that
It's
answers your
huge.
question.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it does. And actually, the first thing that was coming to my mind, are you a philosophy guy? Do you follow a philosophy of some type?
Not a ton. No, I've kind of tried to dabble in a couple different, but I like to nitpick and pick and choose different things from different aspects and stuff, and kind of create my own philosophy around things sometimes, right? So
Yeah, because two philosophies that I follow, Stoicism and Buddhist philosophy. That's,
mhm.
I mean, what you're talking about is the whole purpose of it. To a sense, certainly Stoic philosophy is focus on what you can control and accept the rest, which is
Yes,
really our emotions bubble up. We can't stop them from bubbling up, but we can focus on how we react. We can
yeah,
control on how we react, the decisions we make going forward. We can't focus the thoughts that come into our head, or sorry, control them, but we can control on what thoughts we decide to follow and how we
yeah,
decide to respond. So what you talked about just summarized like 2,000 years of philosophy. So I thought maybe this guy's into philosophy, but I can't think of something more important for an individual to pay
yeah,
attention to, because what's the point of even thinking about the stuff you can't control? And that's where all that worry and anxiety comes out of. We're
yeah.
trying to force things to be the way we want them when we can't. It's
Yeah.
really just your response to your environment, your
It
reaction.
is.
So,
I'll just mention quickly, the one thing that really actually brought that to life for me throughout the pandemic was I started watching Ted Lasso, and I
it's
don't know
the
if you know
best
that show.
show ever.
Unreal show, man, the best. And the thing with Ted Lasso is if you watch that show and you watch it throughout, even just the first season, you can see how he just stays true to himself as a person. He controls how he reacts to each situation. He maintains his integrity. He maintains his morals. He knows who he is, and he doesn't change any of that. And to watch then what changes around him and being able to stay in that, it's fascinating, man. So, granted, when the world was going crazy and we all wanted to have a say in how it could go, all we can do as people is do what we do and know how to do best, and stay true to ourselves. And it's incredible the impact on the world that that'll have, right? So that's
Oh yeah, man.
very cool.
I think you nailed it. I mean, honestly, Ted Lasso is like my blueprint for life on top of my
Yeah.
philosophy. When I'm having a shit day, I often go back to Ted. I've watched it countless times because he really is that epitome of who I'm trying to be, just so rooted in himself, helping
Yeah.
people, staying positive. He still has his problems, but
Oh
I
yeah.
love that you said it, man. That show is phenomenal.
Yeah. Incredible. An incredible lesson to be learned from it too, man, for sure.
Yeah, it's really good. So, what's one thing you wish the audience knew or you'd like them to know about Doghouse Golf Co. in particular? One thing that you really think impacts the audience about you guys?
Um, I guess the one thing I'd like to let people know is that we're here to help you play better golf, period. Golf is super fun and it's always going to be more fun the better you play. And so
Mhm.
that's our main goal. However we need to do it, however we can help you or shape things or give you opportunity or whatever. Um, Granted, I didn't get into business to not make money, but at the same time, the whole goal of this is to help people play better golf, get out there and enjoy the game more. And if we can be a part of that, then that's what we're all about for sure. So that's the biggest
Love
thing
it.
I'd love to tell people for sure.
Love it. I just love it, man. So, I leave this out of the questionnaire because I don't want people to have a scripted answer in their head. It's usually the first answer that comes to their head is probably the best. Um, so, I like to provide a little context by
Sure.
saying, I've found it incredibly fruitful for me to think about my impact. What impact have I had up to this point? What impact am I going to have for today? What impact am I going to have going forward? The reason that seed was planted in me, I was very lucky. I talk about mentorship all the time on this show. When you can find an expert that is just further up the mountain than you are, and they're willing to help you get up there, you're going to miss a lot of pitfalls. That wisdom that you're learning from their experience, that's how we evolved as human beings. So we don't keep repeating the same cycle over and over again. We learn from the person who's been where I want to go.
Right.
So in my early 20s, mid 20s, she told me it would be prudent of you to think about your impact up to this point. And I'm like 23. I'm like, a lot of my impact has sucked. But it was only once I realized that it's like, I'm not living in line with who I want to be. This is
Yes.
not the future that I want to create. So she says, think about that, reflect on that, find out where you went wrong and why, and think about where you want to go. Think about your impact for today, because she was a strong believer, and now myself as well. There's no guarantee I'm going to be here tomorrow. There's no guarantee I'm going to be here in 2 hours. So be
Right.
intentional with your time now. And then for however long you do live, a week, 30 years, 60 years, if you could be lucky enough to have that final conversation with yourself, as not all of us do, before you go, and you're able to look back on your life, would you be proud of it? Would it look like an intentional life? So I love thinking about impact. What, as a human being, what am I doing to this planet? What am I doing to my community? Is it good, bad, or indifferent? And I love to hear that from the guests. We really want to know, especially our local communities, what are our guests? What's in the mind of them thinking about their impact? So I like to ask you, Max, what would you like your impact to be going forward from this point on the world, your community, your family, your business? I think they're all one and the same. You decide.
Yeah. Great question. Um, I guess without getting too deep into it,
Go deep, man. Go deep.
all right. Well, that being said, I guess the biggest impact that I'd like to have on people, um, granted, golf and helping them play better golf is a big thing, but um, showing people that you can, how do I frame it? You can not let the world win and still be happy. There's a lot of opportunity in this life for us to let the world win and to kind of fall amongst the crowd and to kind of just do what's easier because it's harder to swim upstream kind of thing, right? And so, granted, golf is a very set industry and how they like to operate and how they like to present themselves to customers and even us as a wholesale account for some of them. But I'd like to be able to show people that you can still do business your way and not let the burden of somebody else's input or control affect you. You can still do your own thing. You can still go out and be true to yourself. And it's not going to be easy. It's certainly not something. It's definitely easier said than done. But if you go out and you stay true to yourself, you're going to have hard times. But those hard times won't be nearly as hard as you sacrificing part of yourself just to try and make something work or to please somebody else or do something that you think someone else or somebody or some other company thinks you should be doing, right? So maintain your truth to yourself and, swim upstream, because the more you do it, the stronger you get and the quicker upstream you get. So yeah, that's kind of the impact I'd love to leave. Yeah.
Yeah, that is great. So you want to be a representation of why choosing the hard path or the road less traveled is often the better one, rather than just following suit and marching to somebody else's beat. Create your own beat. It's going to be messy. It's going to take some time to create that beat, but then live in line with your own values, with who you are. Because I believe, and it seems like you do too, you can create a much greater impact and kind of free people to think about what they actually want rather than what other people want for them.
Yeah. And it's a whole lead by example thing. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not out here trying to stand on a soapbox or run for politics or anything like that, right? I'm just here to build golf clubs and help people play better golf, right? But if I can do that my way and I can show people that you can still have success doing things your way, I hope that then inspires people to then jump out and do their own thing and, take that big step forward and take that leap. And granted, like I said, it ain't going to be easy. It ain't going to be fun all the time, but there are going to be those times where it's extremely rewarding and it's extremely empowering. And that will be enough to keep you going, man. That's the fuel to the fire for sure.
It's beautiful, man. You happy you made the plunge?
Yeah, very. Yeah. I mean, there are days where I'm not, there's no doubt. But those days are few and far between compared to the ones that I am happy that I did what I did. So, yeah, it's positive for sure.
You're very well spoken too. I mean, it's been very easy speaking to you, and you speak clearly. And I'm sure the audience got that. I certainly did. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. Before we wrap, how can people get a hold of Max, Valle, and DogHouse Golf Co.?
Best way to get in touch. We have our website, doghousegolf.ca. We have a contact form on there you can fill out. We got a lot of info and stuff. Website does need a little bit of an update. It's 2 years old now, but best way to get in touch is with us there. We're on social media as well, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So you can reach out to us there. And even too, if you just like to swing by the shop, have a little conversation and just see what we're all about, everybody's more than welcome to swing by. So we're 25 Saunders Road, Unit 6. So definitely swing on by, pick our brain. We're happy to talk to you. Myself and Bowen, my employee, we're here for you, man. Whatever you guys need, we can take care of it for sure.
What a pleasure, man. It's been great getting the deep dive into you. I was so happy that you opened up about your life and your business. And as soon as you mentioned Ted Lasso, although I was already enjoying the conversation, you sold me. I'm now a fan of Max, Valle, and DogHouse Golf Co. Really pleasure having you on the show, man. You've been great.
Yeah, it was awesome talking to you, Jeff. Appreciate the opportunity, man. We'll hopefully see you by the shop soon.
You will. You will. Okay. It was great, man.
Right on. Take care, man. See you.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com or call 705-413-3775.